increase in the split amount, which, if anything, could be bearish, right? You would think it was probably going to hurt the stock. Well, 10 minutes before we even saw on our end that filing drop, the shit went up 10% on some decent volume. So somebody had seen seen that before we did and construed something positive from it, or decided that their position was not appropriately hedged, or whatever position they had. Someone made it move. Don't know why. We're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it was interesting.
But we have missed something that somebody much smarter has seen. Because increasing our RS from 10-1 to 20-1
is bearish, right?
It makes no sense to go up. And not only did it go up, but it held on to it. Not all of it, but it fairly well held on to it. So there is something we've missed. Don't know exactly what yet. We're working it out. There's a lot of fucking smart people digging through the filings all last night and again today. An entity is allowed to, or an affiliate is allowed to work through B. Riley. It's in the contract for this offering. So they have somebody on the other side who wants to put up this $1 billion. And why the fuck would you do that if, we're about to get hammered? It will come out on the S1, not who, but the S1. As soon as you see that S1 filing, that means somebody is buying this offering. It can't happen until we see that. And the company told you they're going to file that S1 very soon.
Which they stated they intend to file.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question here for you, Roach. Don't mean to take away your train of thought. Kaz goes, Roach, I know you hate me, but give a lesson about SPAC deals. Teddy Holdings, LLC SPAC. Is this a SPAC deal, Roach, that we're witnessing possibly?
Yeah, it is. And that's the way I've always thought about it. However, it's not a traditional SPAC deal because you're dealing with an already publicly traded company. But Kastin comes from SPAC land. He's been in that realm before and has done very well there. He understands it. And typically when you see subsidiaries like Bill Riley 2, that kind of indicates a temporary name or a SPAC-like venture. But in this case, Bill Riley Principal 2 is a private equity arm that has done offerings before. We were looking at some of the other offerings that this subsidiary has been a part of. Not a lot, but a few. So, there's SPAC-like shit happening here. And it has been for a while. And to think that Kastin has suggested to the board some of the maneuvers that you see in a SPAC deal is not out of this world. And it is a way for them to kind of backdoor this deal while everybody else is just watching on the front porch. And we don't know exactly what, the moves are going to be. But it has a lot of characteristics of a SPAC. Kastin is a big SPAC guy. And we were seeing loads of fucking money come into this company via a front-facing, like a front, whether that be Hudson or B. Riley. We don't know. I think Hudson holds a small little bag, maybe 8%, 9%, maybe a sack of perfs, but we don't know. Hudson could have moved those to another party. Because they had the right to do so, not on the open market, but to somebody else. And B. Riley certainly, I don't think, is going to fund this themselves. They've got somebody on the other side that they know wants it.
I can.
Yeah, well, Brett, could be your guy here, and it's an amazing vertical for Newell. It makes sense. You got West Point at the top, literally providing the raw material and the first step. Then you've got the branding and the product creation at Newell. Now you're going to have the retail facing direct to customer, which creates a beautiful vertical for them. And that's why the regulator would have given this a lot of scrutiny, because that is a monopolistic type vertical.
Yeah.
What we saw him step off the board, we saw him sell his shares, and I'm not going to put too much weight in this, but we did just see them renew their ABL facility. Now, I know a lot of people out there said, like, look, it says they can use this 1.5 billion for acquisitions. I want to be clear that clause has always been in there for this ABL. This credit facility has always had the potential to be used for acquisitions or M&A transactions. It's not new, but it is interesting that they renew this ABL at this time for the full 1.5. They could use this in a leverage buyout situation. The credit facility has no restrictions on their ability to do that.
Right.
So if they would like to borrow in order to finish this transaction, they have the means.
Yeah, and that credit facility was set up with JP Morgan, which kind of really ties into this, because JP Morgan is the one that reduced that initial ABL and FILO agreements with BBBY. So, I mean, it's just kind of like we said, Roach, nothing's dropped yet. It's all speculation, but man, oh man, does the puzzle look like it's
the connections are there, though.
There's a lot here that doesn't make sense. And when, a few things don't make sense, that's one thing. But when the whole fucking kit and caboodle starts to be like very perplexing, and it would appear at face value that the board is purely retarded, and we're paying some of the best people in the world to be purely retarded. It can't be. Like, you're missing something. You need to look harder, and it's not going to be easy to see. That's the way it's kind of manufactured. Now, about JP Morgan, they fund everybody. So I wouldn't, they're one of the biggest players. They're going to have their hands in a lot of shit. It's hard to draw connections there. And as for them, like, downsizing the ABL and getting themselves paid via these warrant transactions, that has a lot to do with Bed Bath closing a metric fuck ton of stores, because that ABL is backed by the inventory and the assets. And if you get rid of 50% of your assets that back that ABL, the ABL has to shrink, because JP is not going to be comfortable, lending you 200%, of your assets or even more. So it makes sense that they downsize it. However, I will say JP Morgan's been very lenient here. Too lenient, in my opinion. If they were worried about getting their money out, they would have fucked this thing a long time ago and gotten their money out. So
let me ask you.
They had an understanding of what was going on in the background.
Yeah, well, there's always the potential of a gentleman's handshake here.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be publicly disseminated. A nod. We understand what's happening here, and we're gonna move forward accordingly.
Fuck, I'm trying to remember what I was about to ask you. Oh yeah, with RS. So I had a question. Okay. Obviously, a lot of us think that RS is going to go down from a lot of things that we've talked about, but is there no possibility that an announcement big enough would propel this this stock higher from where it's at into the multiple dollars, where they wouldn't have to RS, or do they have to RS no matter what in your eyes, Roach?
I wouldn't
back end if they don't RS?
So these types of transactions, you don't want to go, well, maybe we can get the stock price where we need it in order to complete this transaction. That's not going to be kosher for the people involved. You have to be fucking sure that you can get the stock price where you need it to complete the transaction. Now, the reasons they're giving you for RS have some truth in them, but there also may be other reasons that they haven't told you yet. And it's funny because the amount of time that they need to file a definitive proxy and then let you get your fucking proxy materials and then actually vote at this point is beyond April 26th. They can't do it before then. And just the amendments they made to the preliminary is costing them another 10 days.
So why are they not rushing to get this proxy materials out then?
We discussed this last night, and we still don't have a great answer for it. But it's if there was a big rush, and like the company's going to go tits up if we don't get this done immediately, you wouldn't have made an amendment to the preliminary because it's going to cost you an additional 10 days in order for you to, because there has to be 10 days from preliminary to definitive.
Okay.
So they've literally just cost themselves 10 more days by making the change from 10 to 20. And then you're going to have 20 days to sit with the proxy materials. Like we're taking ourselves into May at this point. And every time they make a change on that prelim, they're costing themselves more time. I'm still in the camp that the definitive, it will look very different than the original preliminary. And the capture date's already in the bag, which is interesting, our date of record. So at some point, this special meeting of shareholders may not just be about a reverse split. And they're going to give you one more preliminary amendment. And that preliminary amendment is going to get your vote on something more important, but it's going to ensure that you want a reverse split. And they're going to tell you the full bull case. But we'll see. Maybe it doesn't happen like that. But yeah, we're definitely missing something here.
So Kaz wants to know, PP asked Roach what he thinks about step 1 is the SPAC deal, step 2 is the short squeeze, and then last, the 3 is the merger that equals Teddy and GME.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
I would figure the same thing.
Yeah, and like
hard to say.
Cass, I don't respect a lot of the things you do. However, I do respect that the effort you put forward.
Yeah.
And if you're out there, right, you're doing it, you're putting in the work, right? Like maybe I don't agree with your thesis or your theories, but I can't fucking argue with somebody who's, spending the gas money, getting out on and pounding the pavement and doing the fucking work, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's very true. We possibly might have Badger joining us as well.
My boy.
Yeah, just FYI. Love to see some conversation come out of that with him in here too. Moonshot said, I'm going to bring him in for a split second. He said he did see also something with the Newell filings as well. Let's see what his thoughts are. Moonshot, what's up, man?
Hey guys, good morning.
What's up?
I did some very lazy control F into the Newell 8K.
That's all right.
And I missed the first hour, so I don't know if you guys already talked about how August 31st lines up as the exact date that both the credit agreement with Newell and then the ABL were brought into action. As well as there's this 180 days kind of thing that I'm curious if you looked into, Roach.
I was reading chat. You have to excuse me. What can you just direct it in a very quick question?
So it says, it's about the indebtedness in the result of an acquisition. And so if the acquisition were to incur, the indebtedness is incurred prior to or within 180 days after such acquisition. So 100 days back would be the September 29 or 31st of 2022, the 10K that dropped that had the merger in white ink. And so that kind of lines up with the date that Newell put out this new 8K amending their credit facilities.
Right. So are you saying that this is restricted by a timeline on Newell's end?
I believe so. I think an LBO might have happened even that far ago. And so that wouldn't have been reported if they just bought out the debt.
Real quick, we got a $2 tip from Brandon. Appreciate it, man. His question was in regards to the recent proxy filing. Notice how no news source picked up and reported on the filing yesterday when it dropped. I noticed that too. It's very interesting, right?
Yep. Everybody shut their mouth and the stock moved.
Yeah, exactly. We have Badger here. Let's go ahead and bring in Badger. Chat, give a warm welcome to Badger, also a member of the Tendy Bear in Discord. And let's bring him in, man.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Okay. Hey, guys.
Hey,
What's going on?
Not much. Just here to hang out a bit.
Cool. Yeah, that's what we're doing anyways, right?
Yeah.
So, to my knowledge, you guys were kind of dissecting some of these filings yesterday. Is there anything that you wanted to maybe talk about or highlight that some of the things that you found?
I'm guessing that Roach already went over it. Yeah, as he said, I definitely think that the 1 billion from the B. Riley principle stuff is the place we should be looking. But I'm not totally sure how, even if something cool was done there, it does seem like there's some basically like the tranches before, but every week they need to acquire this much funding and financing for each week, right? I'm guessing they still would have to do that to comply with the credit agreement from JPM.
Yeah, and I think the ATM lines up with the amount of money they basically have left to pay JP. Whether they can't use that down at 50 cents, it makes no fucking sense. They're gonna run out of shares so goddamn fast that they'll never get through it. So that ATM needs to be sold into some big fucking strength, like massive strength. There's no way.
That's where if you get ICANN announcing such, I've taken over. Here's I'm the new owner. ICANN Lift. Even if it gets $3-4 just based on that organic or the squeeze that's due, that could be enough to really kind of bring in the 300 million as well, because there will be a fear.
Something has to move. They only have to until the 26th to get. I think how much was it? 100 something, or was it even more through the regular ATM, right? But the interesting thing is that this offering is completely new, and Riley was okay with committing up to 1 billion, right?
Yeah.
But through these private transactions, they actually they can't dilute or issue any more than 20% of current outstanding, which is nowhere near enough to get anywhere near 1 billion, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that under a price of, I believe it's around $76. It was measured on the 5-day VWAP before this offering. So for some reason, they're okay with committing to this, even though we are 0.5 or 0.4 something, right?
Yeah,
that tells me going on there.
Yeah, that tells me that one, they put a time limit so short that they have something in place in order to generate that price increase it needs to get to in order to fulfill that 300 million too, right? Because you literally this ATM is built on a date, not really a stock price or anything. It's just based on a date, and that tells me that they must be hoping for some type of squeeze after an announcement, which will really give it. Because you're right, at 50 cents, it's not going to even. They don't even have enough shares to come close.
Yeah, like if you look at the
sorry, but does it have to be a traditional ATM, or can it be a private sale like what was rumored with the pitch book and the Ryan?
The 300 million has to be ATM.
Okay.
We have had ATMs before that specified that they could do all sorts of different other things, right? Even though they called it an ATM. But full disclosure, I haven't had the time yet to dissect all the new filings completely, but I believe someone said that this one didn't specify that. So we were looking at the 1 billion thing. That one, as I mentioned before, is only 20% they can issue under 76 cents, right? And if we're at a market cap, let's say at 48 cents, and we're a bit over 400 million, then we got only a market cap of 200 million. So 20% of that, that's $40 million they can at the max, even if the price stays where it is. Like it makes no sense, right? So, but of course, in private transactions, they could also just they also write that specifically, actually, but they could easily sell them at 80 cents a pop or more, or whatever. It doesn't have to follow the lit market prices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Sorry, I
somebody wants this, right? Like somebody wants to buy these shares. Riley doesn't sign up for this shit if they don't have an affiliate who wants to work through it. It makes no sense. And Riley themselves wouldn't be willing to do this if we're gonna eat shit on the 26th. You know what I mean? Like, why even bother?
Yeah. I mean, they're clearly in a rush, like, to fucking get money because they're have the risk of the bankruptcy. So it's like I would assume that they would be. I'm fully surprised we didn't get any proxy like materials plus like a date like this week. I was like, all right, if this is the RS is going down, they're gonna get this as fast as possible. But I guess there's other reasons why that is. So I don't know. You know,
April 26th.
Yeah, I just learned.
Don't they have like a gamma ramp on the 21st of April? Like, can't they hide all that 300 million in options?
It's possible. Yeah, I haven't checked. So.
All of this is indicative of a company that no longer gives a fuck about its equity price.
yeah, which means that they know they're getting acquired.
Yeah,
that's 100%. They would have said something about it 9+ months.
Yeah, the 300 million makes no sense at 50 cents. B.
Right.
Riley signing up for this shit makes no sense.
Why,
at 50
why would
cents.
they?
Yeah,
Like,
none of it makes any sense at these equity levels.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just some basic logic would tell you the company doesn't give a flying fuck about what their equity price right now, the means they need to dilute, how much dilution they have to do, or how much they have to reverse split this to get an alignment to make this deal happen. It's balls to the wall. Make this the way it needs to be to finish this deal, no matter the cost, no matter the means. And I mean, from the outside, if you just take this at face value, it looks like you're getting fucked hard. And the company is technically fucking you hard. But there's a reason. And it's not retarded stupidity and negligence.
But in the light of this, it's also really interesting because with the Trident lawsuit that just popped up out of nowhere, right? Because in my view, it's completely out in the light what the fuck Trident was up to. And there's a lot of light being shed on that and has been for like over half a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely knows that he should be keeping a very low profile for at least a decade, right? For some reason, like there's no way he would do this unless he's been pressured to the tits from whoever the puppet masters is of this fraudulent scheme, right?
Yeah, he's not hurting for the money. You know what I mean?
No,
like
he should just. If this goes to a court case and we get to discovery, I would be very interested in that.
Dude, I'd like to call fucking Tritton to the stand. I will rip fucking holes out of that guy personally.
Yeah, exactly.
I
so
think
doing that's desperate as fuck. Like, I haven't. Sorry, just to finish that, I haven't personally seen the evidence. If anyone got it, I would love to see it on this thing that's been mentioned a couple of times with Ryan Cohn's case, who could be, as long as that's pending, it could be blocking any potential deal, right? But I at least stipulate that that's probably why we're seeing this with Trident, right?
I think it's a last minute ditch attempt. You got to understand the magnitude about this. If this thing does do what it's supposed to do, and ICANN and Newell are involved, and RC is involved, and Dragonfly is involved, you are going to break the meme,
exactly.
It
can be very violent. Yeah,
they've been working on this for 10 years, while they've just been piling in money while some of these retailers were kept. I believe they were kept above what any valuation could
They're
really
in
be,
so deep. They're in so deep that there's literally bankruptcy on the line for them. So it's either they bankrupt BBBY or they're going bankrupt because they can't even. And especially if this thing does get an announcement, say come Monday, for an example, and this thing starts to rise, they're in so deep, and it'll be such a foot race that I'm going to say it's going to be a fight between shorts between themselves to really kind of cover and get out of this.
Unless they can do
themselves.
Yeah, unless they can do something else with the regulation, which they totally own, right? But there's no doubt that it would be really, really horrible for them. That's why I speculate that this is the reason we're seeing this Trident thing. I'm just saying that I haven't seen exactly the source of legalese that says that any pending case can hinder. And I speculate that it's true. I just also want to see it myself. Always trust, but check yourself.
Yeah, the case has no validity in terms of like the business's direction. It's literally just about a severance. You'd be hard pressed to stop a deal with this. I think, and I'll look into it more. But it's interesting timing for sure. The guy, likely has he has something to hide. I don't know if he'll let it go to a full-blown discovery, because he'll get fucked. It's just like the BCG lawsuit against GameStop. It's the stupid shit that we're going to be able to find out about you is probably not worth it. Just another note. I know we saw GameStop's Larry make a purchase yesterday that completely knocks GameStop out of this deal. Now Ryan and RC Ventures is separate. Same with like Teddy or any other affiliates. But as for GameStop having a foot in this door, or GameStop looking at any acquisition right now, period, that's off the table. It's gone.
But one thing, I would like to just to hear Roach on his experience and stuff, right? So we know that GameStop can't be the guys because they, like you said, they would basically, he would be trading on what do you call it, insider knowledge, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Then we also know that from the Dragonfly theory, they left that board, right? Maybe because of some FTC or whatever, if there's any connection here. But him buying GameStop shares, if it has nothing to do with GameStop, but he has insider knowledge on it, they're trying to do something with BBBY through what he was earlier on the board of Dragonfly, or whatever it may be. That wouldn't do anything in this case, right? Because GameStop has technically nothing to do with BBBY, so he could buy there. Yeah.
That's
so
right.
there's.
I think that was a clue. I think that was an indication that, you know what, here's where you need to steer your thinking, guys, because I just bought 5,000 shares of this.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like $100,000. It's a token buy. It's nothing.
Shout out to Pretty Talks Investing. Looks like you're a member now. Appreciate the support. Yeah, I don't know. Everything going on, man. Like, to me, it's like, like you guys are right. Like Larry Chang, I think he bought like what 5,000 shares of GME or something like that. 9,000 shares. So it's like a very small, a very small amount of shares that he accumulated. And it's just you're right. There may not be, as of right now, something going on possibly with GME, but we don't really know. In my opinion, I think Newell is going to be the one that this is going to be a total icon thing. And if you want to do the tinfoil, we can go way back to fucking October, right? When RC and Icon took a picture together, you know what I mean? So it's like, you got that fucking tinfoil and whatever, but it's like, to me, it kind of makes sense now that it's in our eyes, we should have always known it was going to be Newell. So maybe
I mean,
also, go on.
Sorry, if you look at it, just logically, because a lot of people said, like, when that picture was taken,
right,
this pretty much knocks ICANN out of the picture, because this would suggest that they had been working on this together for some time. Like, it looks really bad. But in reality, it was Icon's son, which is a separate person, and RC doesn't have his hands in this at this point.
Right.
All he did was bring the right people to the table and configure the board and management in a way in which this could move forward, and then he let go.
And that's probably why he had the standstill for so long, possibly as well, right, with the company.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just let it expire in its natural due course as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there was no reason for him, and if if he brought the right people together in order to get this done, but he has no actual working hands in it, there's no reason for him to open his mouth, right? He's gonna let everybody do their thing. His work here is done. But what I will say is that if Baby goes under, and considering basket theory and that all of these naked shorted stocks are tied together, it's bad news for GameStop shares. if the shorts win another one, especially one of this size. So he had a vested interest here, but it's just not one that you can prove legally or publicly. But he knew that Bed Bath had to survive, and this comes back to, well, why didn't we just go bankrupt in August or in January? Far easier than, something's not right here.
Roach,
Also, if
Roach, can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Did you buy more shares?
Yeah, no, I got shares in 50 cents, and then I got a partial fill on 42 cents on Friday, which kind of pissed me off that I didn't get all of it. But we'll see what happens on Monday. But yeah, I am continuing to add because honestly, at this fucking point, I'm in so goddamn deep. This is the only way for me. I'm going to ride this to zero, or I'm going to ride this back up with a good average.
Yeah, this is a good play in my opinion. Nobody has to fucking agree. You could think it's the worst play and you want to short it. I mean, go for it. Whatever you think is going to make you money. But yeah, I do think that I think most may come out okay. After whatever's going on with the company. I mean, you can clearly tell the board. A lot of people will say, "Well, the board is incompetent. The board is doing this." I don't know, man. I think they're playing fucking stupid, and they're about to just smack everybody.
They're not playing stupid. They're playing very clever. This is.
I agree, and just think of it like this: if this board is truly driving this fucking bitch straight into the goddamn canyon with all of us on board while fucking us directly in the asshole the whole time. This is like the liability that exists here. Yeah. And I just think, these people who have their name attached to it, even Kirk and Ellis and Kastin and all the Alex partners and the Legion, this looks really fucking terrible if it turns out the way, that MSM would have you think it's about to turn out. And all of the things we've seen coming up to this point that look like negligence become a huge fucking legal liability. At the end of the road. I just don't Mooncake's right. They're either completely clueless and nefarious and screwing us, or this is very purposeful and very well thought out.
Yeah.
Can I add a comment to what we had talked about before we get too far away from it? Yeah. So what was it you were talking about? Just before Moon, he asked something. What was it? Can you remember? Oh yeah. PP, you mentioned the ICANN and RC picture and all of that, right?
Yes.
So as far as I remember, I've had that in my mind through all of this. That we got that. I really think it was the same day as we got the filings for here's the bond to equity offerings, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There was. I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're right.
And we've had the ICANN theories and all that. All these theories bouncing around. And I've never seen him do a Twitter selfie, and then he stands there with ICANN of all people, right? Like, how much am I supposed to believe he's leading every backholding retailer on with all this bullshit, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So another thing. So we also saw. Do you remember back in the day we saw about Patella Weinstein and the private deal from bonds to equity, right? Many people, I keep seeing this thing about we're missing what are the filings as bonds or whatever it is, those filings. I can't remember what form it is now, but where just like we got on the first funicular deal where they got 2.7 million shares for some bonds, right? And we're missing that. Then why?
That's the S4, yeah.
S4, so that's probably it.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to share this because I did do it before a couple of times, but I believe we are not missing it because of some verbiage around the 8K from that time. So they're saying they did do this deal with 7 parties who were facilitated through the Weinstein-Patella stuff, right? And they consider these shares not needing to be registered. However, the verbiage was due to, and then there's 2 clauses, right? It's like the 4.2 something, and the other one is 506C. And 506C, if you go look that up in the Securities Act, I believe it is, You can also check CFR after to get some more guidance on what the hell you're supposed to interpret that as.
Yeah.
But that says that's all about restricted stocks. Restricted stocks is something you can be exempt on to register, right? Restricted stocks just means that they agree to not be able to sell the stocks at all. That's why you're exempt from filing them. So you have to ask yourself, we get this icon, we get this RC picture here, and then there's a deal that's been made for just under 10% of the entire company through a lot of bonds. And for some reason, this party is okay with not being able to sell these shares at all. Like, why the fuck would you take ownership of 10% and not being able to sell them unless it's the only explanation I see is because they have some future plans with these shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I believe we didn't get that S4.
Another cool thing is when Newell dropped their financials about a month ago, they specifically said in that financial release that we only are dealing with BBBY only represents 2% of our business. I believe was specifically said to kind of navigate the antitrust laws. Because I mean, they have much bigger clients and stuff like that. So when you start to see specific announcements regarding such a small, 2% penetration market-wise, it kind of to me is like a clue. Why would you even bring that up at this point in time?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And he didn't even mention BBY. He just said, "I'm thinking that you are alluding to BBY, right?"
Right.
Yeah. They're saying they are under 2%, and we have plans to, like, doing some like something to get a good
more kind of an antitrust. Hey, we're good guys here. We're not going larger than the 2% stake, so to speak.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of things. Like, it's crazy that I remember when we were all looking at this picture, nobody said, "Hey, that's probably like who's the one behind the camera." Why the fuck did anybody bring that up? Why did nobody even question it? Like, yeah, we're just looking at a picture of both these guys because we were just
everywhere, dude.
Yeah, like it's definitely like, I don't know, maybe Brett is the one taking this picture, right? And
I thought it was you were looking at something else. Look at the background.
Yeah, who is that back there? That's taking it.
He's everywhere. It's some memes we got going on over. It was Roach who started it. We have a lot of fun.
That's pretty funny.
We like to hide Cass